Alright guys, this video we're going to go over order of operations. Know you've probably seen this. This should be a review for you. The most common acronym we use for this is PEMDAS. Sometimes we say, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally to remember it. But in math there's always a set order or a set routine that you always have to follow. And you kind of see how I have it set up steps 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the P stands for parentheses, so you guys can take all this down. E is the exponents, and then after that, number 3 on the same line is multiplication and division, and the last thing you do in a math problem is you add or subtract. You can see I put this right here, this left to right rule, and that goes for these two cases, 3 and 4. What that means is if you have multiplication and division in the same problem, you do whatever happens first. You work left to right. Same thing, if you add or subtract, just work left to right. So the main thing, parentheses, I always tell students this, as soon as you see parentheses, those are kind of like the flashing lights. You want to do those problems first, and then you'll go down the list. Then you'll do exponents, then you'll do multiplication and division, and lastly, you'll add or subtract. So like I said, this should be review. Let's use this list, and let's do number 1, 2, and 3. All right, so let's make this a little bit bigger. Okay, let's look at number 1. All right, so if I look at number 1, I'm going to circle the operations here. I have addition, the dot means multiplication, and then I have subtraction. Multiplication comes before addition and subtraction, so this is what we're going to do first. And it's real important to show your work. So 4 times 2 is 8. So we do that first. Then I'm just going to bring down the 16, I'm going to bring down the plus, and then I'm going to bring down the minus 3. Now if I look, I have plus and I have minus. Well, this is what I was talking about, the left to right rule. So if you have addition and subtraction, then you just work left to right. So then 16 plus 8 is 24. I still bring down the minus 3. And then 24 minus 3 is 21. And that's the answer. So we started out with 3 operations, addition, multiplication, subtraction. Just follow PEMDAS. All right, let's move to number 2. So if I look at number 2, what kind of stands out are the parentheses, right? Those are like the flashing lights. So let's take care of the parentheses first. This is always the very first priority. So 2 plus 8 is 10. So I'm still going to leave that in parentheses. Then I'm going to bring the 5 and the 6 down. So 5 times 6. And then if this is in parentheses, that also means multiplication. So all this is multiplication. 5 times 6 times 10. So I could just work left to right. So let's see here, 5 times 6 is 30, and then 30 times 10 is going to give us 300. So that's our answer. Again, don't try to get the answer right away. Show your work that shows how you got the answer. All right, let's do number 3. Now, number 3, what should stand out is you have 2 sets of parentheses. So we're going to do those first. This stands out, 6 plus 12, and the 4 minus 8. Everything else I'm going to leave the same. So 6 plus 12 is, what, 18? And then 4 minus this 8, this is negative 4. Then we're going to bring down this 8 and this minus. So it's 8 minus 18. I'm going to bring down this minus and this 3. So it's minus 3. And then I'm going to put this in parentheses just because it's a negative. All right, so then if I look, let's look at what we got here. We have subtraction. This is subtraction. And right here, even though there's nothing written, this is division. It's like saying 3 times negative 4. So multiplication, this you have to do first before you subtract and before you subtract there. So when we do this, let's see here. We're going to have 3 times negative 4, that's negative 12. And let's bring everything else down. So I'm going to have 8 minus 18. Then make sure, bring down this negative. So it's real important to bring down the negatives and be very detailed as you go. So now I'm just subtracting. So I can work left or right. So 8 minus 18, this is what, negative 10? And then what I notice here, if you subtract the negative, that's where you add a line, change the sign. So this becomes plus 12. And negative 10 plus 12 gives us 2. So you can see I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, 4 steps right there. Make sure you show the work. It's very important to show the work. If you just put an answer down and it's not right, you will not receive any partial credit. So the work is more important than the answer. All right, so that's it. Follow your PEMDAS, and that will enable you to get the answer for all these order of operations problems.